We got Floyd Mayweather announcing he's going to fight Logan Paul, brother of Jake Paul, who was just in action this weekend against Nate Robinson. Logan Paul has won two fights, one amateur exhibition and one pro fight against another YouTuber, someone named KSI. I don't know much about these guys. I guess he's a British YouTube personality, but he lost that pro fight. I mean, one was an exhibition, one was a pro fight. Paul lost the decision in the pro fight. And now Floyd's coming out, for a money grab. Logan Paul, just as an FYI, weighed in, I think, at like 199, 189 maybe against 189 against KSI. Floyd weighed in at like 150 for his last fight against McGregor. I don't see how they come together and find a middle ground there. Floyd probably weighed as much as he could. He's not a big guy, and Logan Paul is a big guy, but I don't know. This just doesn't excite me. It doesn't interest me, but it is what it is, and people care about it, so we're going to talk about it. What are your thoughts?
First of all, get away from the spectacle part of it just for a second. When you're a better fighter, a real fighter, you can give up weight. You can. I mean, when you're the better fighter throughout the annals of this sport, smaller guys have beaten bigger guys when they were technically better. And now you're talking about a guy who's not a fighter. So if you're a fighter at the level of Floyd, you can give up the weight and still, it might look like, it might be another sales point to sell the pay-per-view that, wow, he's going in there with a bigger guy. But the reality is that the advantage is all still for the guy who knows how to fight and knows how to behave like a fighter, who's been a fighter and a champion fighter, his whole career, most of his career. So that's the reality of that. But there's a phenomenon going on now with these things, and it's a cult. It's a cult thing. It's becoming bigger, and it's definitely. Listen, this is a money grab. Make no doubts about it. I mean, if they want to throw another $100 million at Floyd, why wouldn't he take it?
Yeah.
And a lot of people might knock him and say, hey, he's disrespecting the sport. Well, he respected the sport, Floyd, for many, his whole life, 25 years, whatever. He respected the sport. And he's earned the right to grab a lot of extra money. I was going to say some extra money, but he's taking a risk. In the realm of, in the gladiators, realm, in the real realm, with real fights, not spectacle fights. So, I don't begrudge anybody making money unless they're hurting somebody to do it. But I will point out my views on, what it is. And it's a phenomenon. It's, it all started, the start for this stuff, really, the genesis of it was celebrity boxing years ago. And that didn't go too far. And then there was fantasy camps where you could go away to a camp, pay X amount of money to be in the world of your heroes, to train, whether it was getting a batting cage with Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and going on the field and catch passes from Joe Montana. That's where the stuff was born from. But they ran their course. It was limited. The success of it, there was a ceiling that wasn't that high. The ceiling is very high on this. And they're making big money.
How do you see this playing out? I think I know what you're going to say with Floyd with his defensiveness and counter punching and not want to rush in there with a big, strong guy. But what do you think happens in this fight? How do you see it playing out?
Listen, first of all, the Pauls, from what I can see, they're taking it serious. They're not disrespecting the sport. I know a lot of people are saying, and I get it, that the sport's being disrespected, boxing's being disrespected. I get it. But they're training in an earnest way, in an honest way, and they're learning the best they can. and they're boxing with guys. That's why, Nate Robinson got knocked out, because Paul at least was in there training with fighters, learning what the environment feels like, what it could do to you, how it could destroy you, how the ninjas come over the wall when you're in that ring and they could just take you apart, where you can't think, you can't see, you just run into danger instead of controlling yourself where you can handle the danger in the right way, the way fighters do. So I'm not making them what they are. I'm just saying what they are. They're guys that at least put the time in to learn the sport and to respect it and training the right way to get ready for what they're doing. But let's be clear about something here, what they're not doing. They're not going in there with Spence, with Crawford, with Canelo. I mean, they're not going in there with prime fight. They're going in there with a guy who's 43 years old, who's been retired for the last 5, 6, 7 years, basically, on and off. Been gone. It'll be another few years that he was gone before he gets back in the ring. Now, Floyd's a great fighter, but it's not the same Floyd. And it's also a Floyd that, as I said, not the style of a Spence, not the style, of a Crawford, not the style of a Canelo, who's going to go get you. It's a guy who lays back. So if you're going to pick a spot, it's a good spot. It's a good spot. It's smart. You're managing your way. You're using your noodle. Floyd's not going to go right after him. Floyd's going to figure it out. What's that mean? And the real coming from a person who's going to tell you real. It means he's going to buy him some rounds. It means that the people on the internet that are putting stuff out there that he's going to get knocked out in one round. No, he's not. Whether that upsets you, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I can't. I mean, go get some Maylocks. It's what's it, about $4. Go down to the drugstore, buy a bottle of Maylocks, maybe some Excedrin. That's all I can tell you. If it's going to give you an upset stomach and a headache, thinking about that this is happening to your sport. I understand.